Ann Dowd was on this couch a few months ago.
She was?
Yes, she
might
was.
be my favorite person.
Really?
Yeah.
I thought Amy Sedaris was your favorite person.
Yeah, I mean, that's a tough, let's get him in here and have him fight.
Yes.
And for my affections.
Welcome to Couch Surfing, the show where uber cool guests look back at their big roles, their little roles, and everything in between. I'm here with Justin Theroux. Justin.
Hi.
Hi. You ready to surf?
I'm ready to surf.
Let's do this.
Oh, God, we're jumping right in.
Yeah.
No.
Oh, there he
I want
is.
to talk about it.
Well, I think we have to.
Why does everything have to be about sex? I am so sick of talking about sex. I've been talking about it since I was 2.
Okay, so this moment is from
go.
season 2.
Yes.
You play a short story witer.
Yes.
With a particular
Yes, I'm a
shortcoming.
premature ejaculator in this episode of the Sex and the City. And I'm clearly hung up about it.
You have a problem with that.
Typecasting. Yeah, but it was also great because I got to work with Valerie Harper, who played my mom, which was kind of dreamy to work with her.
Now, you were in season 1. You also played a writer.
That's right.
How did that work out? Did they
It was
assume?
Vaughn. No, it was one of those things. Sex and the City was one of those shows that were like they burned through every actor, like in the first like couple seasons, I guess. You know, like it was like Law and Order. It's kind of like a rite of passage. You have to do a Sex and the City. You have to. Oh, I never did a Law and Order.
You never did a Law and Order?
I never did a Law and Order. So they said, would you do it again? And I said, yeah. And they said, well, we had to figure out a way to make a little difference. We were like, let's just shave my head and have short hair. So that was me diving into the role.
I love it. Up next.
Listen, Paul, squash.
Jared Leto,
Call me.
the business cards.
No can do.
Okay, how much hair gel was on this
So
set?
much.
So
it's
much
almost like
gel.
I'm doing like a young Jared Kushner.
That's awesome.
By the way, it's not a bad comparison for these psychopaths.
Not at all. Okay, but Jared Leto, you, Christian Bale,
What do you think?
all went on to become household names.
This was like kind of one of those wonderful things. Chloe Sevigny's in this. It was just a really cool thing. It was the second time I worked with the director Mary Herron. She had a movie called I Shot Andy Warhol.
Mary really addresses toxic masculinity
Yeah.
head on. Like,
Oh
she
yeah.
didn't
No,
shy
no,
away
no.
from
It's wonderful satire. Like it's great in that respect. It's so sort of elegantly done.
Did you have to audition since you already had an in with Mary?
I did not. No,
Okay.
she offered me the role.
She did.
Yeah.
That early in your career to get offered roles.
Yeah.
Nice.
Well, we ended up becoming friends, and she's a wonderful director, obviously, and so it was that. That was the second thing I did with her.
Cool. All right. Let's keep going.
Let's
you having
keep going.
fun?
I love this clicker.
This clicker's
Just
the
click
best.
right through.
It's that damn Hansel. He's so hot right now.
Zoolander.
Okay.
There we are.
So you are serving a
Breakdancing.
derelict look.
Yes, that's right. This was a look we stole from directly from Gary Oldman. We should have like paid him or something in True Romance. we thought that look was so insane and like ridiculous. We just thought that would be kind of a great evil DJ look, and so we literally everything right down to the dead eye and the scar across the eye. And it might be like a slightly different scar, so we didn't have copyright infringement issues. But
I love that.
yeah.
You went on to work with Ben Stiller.
Correct.
But as a writer and not as an actor.
As a writer, yeah. Well, me and Ben formed this wonderful relationship. We sort of have this sort of very similar sense of humor, the things that we find funny.
Okay, and you are a real life breakdancer.
Yeah, this came into being because I was at Ben's wedding, and I was breakdancing at his wedding when they were shooting this, and then he was like, "We should breakdance in the movie," and so I was like, "Sure, let's do it."
Wait, and the
so
Ben,
breakdancing is originally an alternative to fighting, so we thought it would be funny. Later on in my career, I did a capoeira fight in Wanderlust.
You did?
So I do a lot of dance fighting. It's kind of my signature move.
I was going to ask you, what is your signature breakdancing move? I mean, I'm
Backspins
more
are-
of a pop locker
I
myself.
tried to do a
but-
windmill, like not your pop locker.
Yeah,
I
I'm
was
a
a pop
pop
locker
locker.
too, by the way.
Really?
Yeah, I mean, I
Care
did
to do a
floor
little
work
something
and
now?
absolutely
Come
not.
on, get a
no.
little-
It's one of those things you
pass the
only
mic-
do if someone's like, yeah, don't you dare.
No? Okay.
Yeah, I only do it if if I'm under duress or for comedic effect.
Or if you're at weddings.
Or if I'm at weddings, yes. You can hire me for weddings to do it there. What is this? Oh.
What are you doing?
This This is me about to get beat up by Billy Ray Cyrus.
Okay.
Full circle. I actually got really hurt in this.
You did not.
Yeah, he slams me on the ground, and the sound of my head hitting the floor is actually my head hitting the floor.
Oh no.
Oh my God. Miley Cyrus is dead. Ow! David Lynch was ecstatic. I remember he shot out of the director's chair. He's like, that was fabulous. The sound of your head, you can't find that in a studio. It's just gonna be beautiful, man.
What was he like to work with? Everyone says that he's a genius. What was your favorite memory of working with him, other than
He's
him
just
being
beautiful.
excited about
He's
you
just a
nearly?
wonderful guy. I'll tell you what I think is the key to his success is he's never frustrated on a set. He's never angry on a set. He's one of those directors that, like, if something's going wrong, he's like almost gets more excited.
Really?
Yeah, it's like the sun starts to set, and he's like, oh wait, we could make it a night shot. You know, like he'll like sort of lean into whatever the problems are.
Okay.
¿Ves ese árbol de bugambilia?
I joined the JC Club. Caviezel, Defoe, me. This is the 10, directed by David Wayne, which is, I find him so hilarious. His sense of humor is just incredible. It was a movie based on the 10 Commandments, and each chapter is a commandment, and it was just hilarious. It was so absurd. And he's a carpenter, obviously, because Jesus was a carpenter.
Yes.
Or so I've read. Yeah, and so I played Jesus Christ, the sort of Latin lover of Jesus Christ.
It's like Jesus with a dash of Fabio.
Yeah, he shows up later in the movie and he's like a salesman with like a gut. Like, it's hilarious. That's so funny.
Well, David Wayne has said that he knew you'd be the perfect Jesus. Did you know?
Clearly. I mean, like, no, I didn't know. It was a really fun. It's one of those things in your career. You think maybe one day I'll play Jesus.
Maybe.
You just don't know it's going to be this Jesus, like this version of him.
Next project. Speaking of the rapture,
Oh God, yeah. Speaking of the rapture, real hard left turn here, by the way.
this ending, I mean, the audience really has to be, one, invested in this, but the interpretation of the series ending really depends on whether or not they believe Nora, right?
Yeah, I mean, there's all kinds of theories abound. I have my own theory, but
What
you know,
is your theory?
my theory is she's lying to me, and
Really?
yeah, and she didn't go to this other place, and she's using that to try and get me to leave, you know, or to not be with her, you know. I mean, it's sort of implied because our show would, a lot of times when people would have monologues or say things, we'd flash back to those events, you know, like, and in that monologue, there's no flashback. There's no flash back to the event. So I think it's a defense mechanism that she's like, I'm going to tell him this story, and he's going to go, you're batshit crazy, and then he's going to leave. And he ends up saying, I don't care, you're here, and you're the love of my life, and so I'm going to stay with you. So I think he's like, I will take you even with all your crazy, and be with you.
You know, the show was ambitious, definitely, and there were some moments that were a bit confusing for the audience. I also read that you weren't interested in knowing the super arc of your character. You just wanted it to unfold
No.
in real time for you. Why was that important?
Part of it is it keeps it interesting for you, because if you know where your character's, I mean, you want to know sort of where you're going in the episode, or you want to know where you're going in the, and I had absolute faith in the writers that they were not going to, you know, lead me into a dead end or off a cliff. Although they did kill me a couple times,
Yes,
which is
they
jarring
did.
when you read that.
Let's keep having a giggle, shall
Let's
we?
keep having a giggle.
All
Where could
right.
this go?
First you took half the argument away from me.
Nobody took anything away from you, Ruth. You weren't
It's Mimi Leader, by the way, also the showrunner of The Leftovers, who directed this, wonderful director. You know, it's kind of incredible you get a movie out of her. You know, not incredible that you can make a movie about her, but you know, she's not particularly dramatic, you know, in her life. You know, it's not like, you know, and then heroin, and then, you know, the upside. You know, she's Ruth Bader Ginsburg. She basically just put her head down and worked her fucking ass off,
She did.
and was
decades.
excellent at everything.
And you actually met her.
Yes.
I know, I hear she's tiny, but she's also larger than life.
Put her right in your little pocket there. No, she's one of those people. There's a couple of things that are interesting. One is, you know, she's very short, and she sort of has this gaze. She gazes downward, so literally you have to lean in and lean down. So whenever you're talking to her at a party or whatever, you're having to sort of, you know, bend over, and you know, she almost forces you to bow to her, which is just, I think, kind of a wonderful thing, just on the face of it, just sort of the architecture of that.
And I would imagine at this point, given all that's going on in the world at large, getting her legacy right is of the utmost importance, isn't it?
It is. And also it's it's one of those things that, 30 years from now, 50 years from now, will only be coming to sharper focus, how important she was. But it's always wonderful when someone can sort of receive that recognition while still living. She still obviously has an enormous amount of mystery around her, as all the Supreme Court justices do.
Yeah, some more than others now.
Some more than others, I know. That's right. She wasn't doing Beach Week.
Justin, thank you so much for surfing by. On the Basis of Sex is in theaters now. See you next week on Couch Surfing.